Greetings gamers, welcome to part number 33 of my Let's Play Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy of the Holy War, and in today's episode I have some moving out to do. Particularly I am going to go ahead and return Sigurd. Alright, so he can be healed by somebody else. Where are you able to reach? Nowhere pertinent. So yeah, my idea here is to return him, and then once I return him, he's going to be able to pair up his weapons and then come right back out to battle, because he's already used up several of the uses, in fact the majority of the uses, of the Brave Sword, and he has a new weapon to repair. It won't be many uses that he's going to repair, but it will be something. The rest of my units over here can go ahead and move out. Tiltu and Lewin as well. The thing is that Sylvia and Claude actually kind of don't want to move out quite yet. At least, well, I think it should be fine. So now I'm going to go to, not the arena. I do this all the time. I don't know if you have any problems with this in your own gameplay. As you can see, holy weapons take 50,000 to repair all 50 uses, and that means 1,000 per use. That's the most expensive a weapon gets in this game. Let's see. Yeah. So he has a different dialogue. He says, now that's a fine piece once the weapon has crit. And then this will get 17 uses. Very nice. It's not game-breaking or anything. I actually think 17 uses is more than fine for the majority of this chapter. So, Sigurd's own preferential weapon that he can use... Oh my gosh, this weapon is insane. So, the interesting thing is, the Tyrfing is an 80 hit, 30 might, 1 range, 7 weight sword that grants miracle. Now, I actually find it kind of interesting. So the weight scenario of weapons in this game make it so that even when a weapon such as the Tyrfing has a speed bonus, and I'm going to show you its bonuses, it's kind of almost nullified. So in a way, I mean, it's not completely nullified, of course. He has plus 10 skill, plus 10 speed, and plus 20 resistance from the Tyrfing. This is why it's so important that you have the ability to Canto. Obviously, I'm going to be using the Brave Sword for the majority of combat. I'm not at all worried about getting the Tyrfing to crit. It is fun to do so, because the thing is the Tyrfing with crit means that a Sigurd, or his son, at max strength, with the power ring, they have 120 attack against an enemy. Without the power ring, it's actually only like 110. So, which is still great. That's still incredible. Most units in this game can't survive that at all. In fact, I don't think there's hardly any units that can, if I'm not mistaken, but there are some units that you just can't crit anyway, so it doesn't even particularly matter. For those units, the Tyrfing is better than the Brave Sword if you can't crit them. But the issue is that the Tyrfing is kind of more a utility weapon in my mind than it is an actual weapon for the most part. Of course, you can still use it, and it is still very good. But there are instances where it's really not that good. So take good old Heavenswath user over here. He has a 41 defense. That means I'm actually at max strength without the power ring, only doing 14 damage to him, times 2. 14 is still a lot of physical damage to do to Langbolt, because again, he has 41 defense. It's not worth it. It's honestly not worth it. So the reason why this is because if you take a look at Sigurd with his Brave Sword, he has a 37. 37 times 2 is 74. So 74 off of his 41 means that I'm doing 33 damage per crit. I have 4 chances to crit, and at this current moment, Sigurd has a whopping 28% chance to crit with the Brave Sword. Why would I ever use the Tearfing over it? Now again, if the Tearfing has crit, there is some valid point there. But I'm just trying to show how that the people who say that the holy weapons are busted don't really understand this game and have a significant misunderstanding of how the weapon mechanics and the crit mechanics in this game work. Entirely. Significant misunderstanding. I would hazard to say that pretty much any decent crit weapon in this game is going to be better than a holy weapon. And the reason why is because crits bypass defense. It's that simple. It's not like other Fire Emblem games where crits are only triple damage, because if that was the case, a crit Brave Sword would do nothing to Lang Bolt. 37 damage off of 41 defense is 0 damage. Multiply 0 by 3, that's 0. So the difference is he's doing 33 damage to Lang Bolt in this particular instance, and he doesn't even have a power ring. If he had a power ring, it would be even more incredible. It would be 42 times 2, 84. He would be doing 43 damage to Lang Bolt in a single crit. He could KO Lang Bolt in 2 hits. That's insanity. So with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and heal up Sigurd. Probably the most use Ideen is going to get in this chapter for Sigurd, for the front line, I should say, because she's still going to get use. Speed, interesting, not necessary. And then I'm going to dance for Sigurd. Of course, I'm going to dance for him again next turn. He will definitely need it. And the rest of my units need to just prepare for the big old battle ahead with all of these buffoons here. So there's actually a way for me to go ahead and attack 3 of these guys without taking a magic counter. That's pretty darn nice. I think I'm going to do that too. To think, Celeste remained such a peaceful place for generations and generations. Arrgh, how did this world turn into such a savage place? Good 4,000 gold for Dew. Dew is probably going to make his way up here. I mean, I'm telling you, it would be nice if I could get this other village with him, but I seriously, and I mean seriously, doubt that that's going to be a possibility. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try, but I seriously doubt it's gonna be a real possibility here. I think the rest of my units are actually okay not to be moved. And then, of course, I have these units over here. I'm not gonna move Claude backward because obviously Claude is going to need some pairing with Sylvia. After I take Heavenswath, I don't typically use Sylvia much anymore. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do this because it would be just so much better if she was already paired with Claude. I probably should have grinded a little bit last chapter and waited some turns because I don't really care about something as trivial as rank. And did I seriously forget to KO that guy? I think I did. Alright. Lex should be doing pretty significant amounts of damage here. Oh, in fact, he is actually almost totally KOing. That's unfortunate that he is not actually KOing these guys because it just means that they're left over. In that case, it would have been better had I just... I think I'm going to reset because I think it would be better if Lex just attacked 4 of these units rather than just 2. I'll be right back. Another thing I forgot about is obviously Aaron needs to take out the Brigand. Something I forgot completely. Lex is probably going to be more than fine over here. Wow, she missed. She missed one of her 4 hits. It's not totally unreasonable that she did because she's using a lance. So I was able to take one of these guys down to 3. I'm going to be able to defeat him and then take 4 of these guys down pretty low. It's just a shame I had to do that, but what can you do? Alright, ending turn. Yes, you can go ahead and burn down that village a little bit more. I'm not so worried about that. A little bit of extra gold. Yeah, so potentially Lex has a potential of dying in this particular instance. If he were to get hit by both the Thunder Mages, I think they're doing enough damage to KO him even at this current point. So maybe I miscalculated a little bit. If he does die, I'll just reset. It's not a big deal. And it looks like that's likely. Lex, are you going to get hit? Yeah, he did. So that's a reset. Unfortunately, I have to go with the original plan of him only attacking 2 in this particular turn. Alright, so a little bit less optimal, if I'm being honest, but it's what I have to do in this situation. It almost seems like the Bow Knights are like, ooh, Aaron is by. So therefore, it would be nice to strike her. And I'm pretty sure they can reach those little spots, so I do need to move leftward. Okay. Ruffian finished, finally. The Brave Lance doing work. And then the rest of my units have to move forward. Sigurd actually doesn't need to be danced for, now that I'm thinking about it. I just need to make sure that the majority of these units are not within the range. I'm going to go right here, equip the Brave Bow, and then I'm going to wait with these units right outside of the range of everybody. Sigurd can get ready because he's going to go on the offensive very shortly from here. Heal up Claude. Claude is, you know, more useful alive than dead, and that's an unfortunate truth, but it is true. Okay. I'll go right here. Till 2 can go right there. Aww. Sylvia cannot reach. What a fantastic misplay. Okay, so this turn is going to be a little bit precarious, but I think I have a reasonable way to deal with the majority of this turn. First and foremost, I think Brigid and Dew are just going to run over here for this other village while these guys are preoccupied. I halfway want to attack with somebody over here who's not going to take a counter. I'll get you with the Brave Axe, and then the other one I'll get with somebody else close. Yeah, unfortunately, this is still kind of a very difficult scenario here. And the reason why that is because the Brave Axe, actually, though he's not really all that strong, if he double hits pretty much any one of these units over here, that unit is dead. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, hit. Nice, she avoided. That was almost necessary because, again, she's going to take a load of damage, and if the Brave Axe hits anybody multiple times over here, that unit's just dead. Thunder. Yeah, so this is a demonstration of why you should train some of your other units. Though, like I said before, I kind of like low manning Fire Emblem as a whole, and the reason why that is just because your units get a little bit more experience to himself, and then you don't really have to worry about any particular like nonsense about units not reaching certain level benchmarks, so on and so forth. Alright. The commander has Pappas, of course, because he's a general. And he procced it. Because why wouldn't he? And I think that's pretty much it. I do like low manning, but again, there are uses still for your units that aren't particularly frontliners, which means that if you're going to take full advantage of said units, you might want to still give them at least a bit of arena, maybe a KO here or there, so that each one of these units can be a contributing member of this party. The thing is that at this particular time in the game, most of these units that you're fighting over here, whom are these like Axe Knights over here, and this commander even, they're not really all that strong. So you can get away with a little bit lesser units, a little bit lower level, and so on and so forth. In fact, most of my units over here are not even promoted. It's just something to be mindful of. I did put Sigurd in the range of Midir, so Midir should have a reasonable amount of avoid with Sigurd and Rekessus in range. Of course, the Brave Bow is kind of heavy, and it literally depends on how many times he's hit here. If he's hit too many times, he's just going to die, which is a disgusting shame, especially because I would have to reset yet again. But it just happens. Midir at this point, even though he's promoted, is actually one of my weaker units. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting the Brave Bow some KOs here and there. Just because the rest of my units can actively KO. He needs chip or multiple hits. Okay, the rest of these guys can't hit. But the problem is, yeah, Andre is going to attack. Welcome, fools. Allow me to give you a fool's death. One hit, he just kills Midir. Oh, nice. And Midir quads. That's incredible. So, a single hit and Andre would have killed Midir for sure. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that that's the case. I kind of want to move my side units first. I'm halfway tempted to give this village to Sigurd, but halfway isn't enough.
Did you know? The famous Lord Eldigan of Nordian and his wife had themselves a little son before he died a while back. His name's, Ares? Something like that. I feel pretty bad for the poor boy. He's got to be just 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame? So, Bridget and Dew will get to this village shortly, and then they're going to be able to use the road to get to the upper village, so I actually think they will make it in time. I'm supposing I can just take a crit on you, or take a KO on you for crit. So Lex is going to finish this gen with 42 KOs on the Brave Axe, which means that it's not going to be at crit at the start of the second generation. This is kind of what I like to do anyway, because the issue is that, like I said before, a boss in the first chapter of the second generation starts with that particular weapon. And it having crit is obviously not ideal. You can still deal with him because, again, he's using an axe. Most of your units are using swords, so on and so forth, or magic, range, blah, blah, blah. So you can deal with him. It's not that big of a deal. It's still something to keep in mind if you are doing my kinds of pairings or strategies, or if you're going the brave weapon route. Some people totally skip the idea of using the brave weapons. I've seen a lot of people make some very interesting builds with very interesting and uncanny weapons. Like, for instance, slim swords with 100 kills on them. Those sound like a meme or a joke, or slim lances with 100 kills on them. But the thing is that they're the most accurate, lightest weight weapons in their category, and they still have reasonable damage, and if they have crit, they're actually still pretty darn good. Not great, mind you. I'll never tell you they're great. The brave weapons are obviously the best weapons in this game. It's not even a close. It's just obvious that that's the case. Obvious. Some people would say that's not true. I say hogwash to that. Okay. Brave sword. And Sigurd, you should see Sigurd crit a lot. In fact, he just did. I do have to try my absolute hardest to remember to turn on animations for Langbolt's fight. I think that's very valuable. Okay. Andre can get KO'd here. Perfect. It can't be, Scorpius! Avenge me! Goodbye, Andre. You are deserving of what you got. Okay, now it is time to mend up Midir. And move him over. Of course, I want to light brand here, except I just die. 17 times 2, that's really not good enough. So if this... Oh no, he doesn't KO. I was just looking at the 26. I didn't look at the fact that Azel has 10 defense. So that's fine. It's not going to be great that he takes this much damage, but it'll be fine. As you can see, Mr. Azel doesn't even have max magic, and he is doing an insane amount of damage. If I'm not mistaken, Mage Knights have a 25 max magic. He's not going to be reaching it. Even with that +1 magic, he's at 21 magic. Of course, he has the +5 from the magic ring, which is good. Pretty darn fantastic. But it's not supplementing enough. Dance. So one thing that is a bit of a shame with the Fortify is that I didn't repair it. Claude has enough to repair it a couple of times, but it's still not going to be great. I think it is more than safe, though, to give another KO to Midir. Of course, he is only doing 22 times 4. He's doing 22 times 4. So that means he has to get 3 hits in to KO these Bonites. Perfect, though, that he didn't take any damage. And Azel now has a 40 attack with his magic. That means he's going to do 20 times 2 to Langbolt. That's actually pretty darn good. It will mean that as long as I survive the Heavenswath, like a hit from it, it should be pretty good. 51 damage. So yeah, I actually do survive a hit from the Heavenswath, which means that I'm definitely going to use Azel to weaken Langbolt, and then I'm going to fight him with Sigurd. I do think... Yeah, he's level 30, so he has a straight 30% chance to proc Pavis. So if you don't think he's defensive enough, he can literally just say nope to all of your damage regardless. Make sure that's equipped. again. I moved her out of the range. And that is the end of my turn yet again. Lubek phase. Don't have much to do left. Just a single village to defend, and the enemies surrounding Lubek Castle. Alright, because of that, I'm actually pretty stoked here. I'm going to be dancing for these three. Seems like a little bit of a waste, but the fact of the matter is that who else am I going to dance for? She's out of reach. So light brand 40 times 2. Yep, this is a pretty good combative fight for Azel. The only thing is I just have to make sure that Rekessis and Sigurd are in his range. What a shame he missed that many times. He wouldn't have KO'd anyway, but still a shame. Yeah, one of the reasons why I give Midir the speed ring is because the Brave Bow weighs 8, and Midir kind of needs the help a little bit. Midir does not have good growth rates, even remotely. This is just a fact of Midir. And of course, I will finish you off as long as you don't Pivice every hit I perform. Perfect. Very nice. By unit. I guess I could do by unit. Oh, the only problem is I can't do that right now. I have to put it on. If you do by unit, you have to choose particularly which units you want to have the animations on and which ones you want to have off. So as you can see, the dancer animation's pretty unchanged in both Genealogy and Thracia. It's still a good animation, it's cute. It's nothing more than just cute. And Aaron. Come fly over here with me. We'll go ahead and strike this enemy. So you're going to get to see a little bit of the animations. I'm going to be turning them off right after Heavenswath boss Langbolt is destroyed. And the reason why that is pretty obvious. The animations just make this game take much longer. Granted, I will say that I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised at how short this game has been concerning episode-wise so far. I'm only on episode 33 and I'm about to beat Generation 1. I am wildly, and I mean wildly and pleasantly surprised. That's not at all something I would have expected. If I'm being honest, I actually was expecting it to be quite a bit crazier than that. I was expecting it to be like episode 50 or 60 before I was even finishing chapter 5.
It matters not how many of you worms confront me. So long as I wield the great axe, Heavenswath, the same fate awaits every last one of you. Stay clear if you still value your lives.
Thank you for the warning, Langbolt. But unfortunately, you're not all that great at this whole combat shtick. Especially when I have a bunch of units with charm and such. Yes, he got a Pavis. I'm not surprised even a little bit. Oh, 0 hit. That's kind of interesting. I know that the ballista in this game are notably bad. Notably bad. They're really only a threat to your very weak and squishy units like Ideen, especially before promotion. But, I mean, this is kind of insane. Azel doesn't even have that much base avoid. Yeah, 42. So these guys aren't hitting pretty much anything remotely important. 72 hit is kind of abysmal. Luckily, it's partially due to the fact that ballisticians have very bad statistics in this game. And then the hit on the ballistas are not great either. So it is time to attack yet again. Azel is not going to crit here, so I just have to hope that he hits at least once. Perfect. Then maybe... Not sure where I want to put this unit. I guess right here is fine. And then I'm going to heal up. Yeah, so it's a very nice treat, I would say, that I'm getting to show off these wonderful animations, because I do love the animations in the Juggle games. It's just, again, especially in Genealogy, it just takes so long. 32. I want to say, if Sigurd weakened, I don't think Sigurd weakens these guys, though. I think he just downright kills them. Besiege. All right.
Would you look at that? The little brats made it as well. How perfect. I'll reunite you with your dearly departed father. He ought to be lonely by now. Langbalt, Langbalt, you will pay for what you did to my father.
And pay dearly.
Impossible. How could I fall like this? And don't fail me.
And you would think that I am going to seize right now. That's not at all the plan. Not at all the plan. What the plan is I'm going to finish off the rest of these units. I'm going to get all of my units as close to the next location as possible. And... oh, wow. Did I proc a cost? Wow, nice. Madeir actually doing some skill procking there. Very nice. Basically, I'm going to get all of my units to this point here and around this point, and then just prepare for the next part of this chapter. So I'm not at all worried about seizing at this exact moment. Sigurd also needs to get both of the villages that are over here. Would definitely help. Let him repair his brave sword again, which hasn't taken many hits, but Tyrfing could use some repairs as well. And then, who do I want to move and where? I'm going to heal up Rekessus. Very unnotable to do this, but you know what? Doesn't particularly matter. More instances of seeing the animations and the palette of the wonderful Master Knight. So as long as this guy doesn't proc Pavis here, he is definitely going to perish to Azel's incredibly powerful damage. It's actually kind of interesting, because if you were to get the Lightbrand to crit in this generation, I think that Azel would be definitely a very strong candidate for one of your better units, just because of the fact that a crit Lightbrand with his magic just means that he is dominating. The problem is that he's not necessarily likely to get a crit light brand. Okay. Madeir getting his KOs that he needs. 34, getting there. Lightbrand is at 30. I'm liking these numbers. All right, so I'm only going to take out one of these guys with Sigurd. He doesn't really need to be taking out anybody else. The crit on the Brave Sword is more than enough at this point that he's perfectly fine. 60 means he's getting a +10 to his skill with his crit. And these guys are not a threat to Sylvia's survival because she will not be one-shot by them. I am, of course, going to be keeping Rekessis within Sylvia's range. So all should be good on that front. And units. I have a few to move.
Heard the news? Granville's army just swept in and seized Lubek Castle. Oh, I fear for Celeste's future.
Hi, Dean. And the rest of my units in here don't actually need to do anything. I am going to go ahead and repair Lex's weapons, just because his gold is way overkill. His son is going to be at least inheriting a pretty decent chunk of change. It's like 2,000 and then plus his funds divided by 10 or divided by 20, I think. So it's not actually a lot that he's going to give, but it's still, you know, I think around maybe 800 he's going to give, which is very nice. And I think he gives that amount to both his son and his daughter. Let's see, Lex Holland, nobody else needs to move. Yeah, Dew will definitely make it to the other village. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is pretty good. I'm excited for that. All right. So the reason why I'm not KOing these ballista, or I should say, I'm not seizing right now when I could just seize and you know, let it go, is because the fact of the matter is that the ballista are easy KOs for somebody like Azel and Madeir, and easy KOs are pretty fantastic.
It's terrifying just how far Granville has fallen from the peaceful nation it used to be. All they ever do these days is set their army on every country they can get their hands on. Prince Kurt's be utterly ashamed to know what's become of his beloved Granville. You have to do something. I'm begging you. Go to Granville. Take the country back from the wicked folk who are perverting all it holds dear.
So many modern issues being recognized in this particular game. Now, I would love to continue this onslaught of Lubek's ballista, who are just basically sitting ducks for the rest of my units that aren't Claude and Sylvia. But it is time to end off this episode, so I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and if you're minded, tell me how you play Genealogy, how you go about this chapter, what you think of my strategies thus far. You like the gameplay, so on and so forth. I really appreciate any feedback I would get, and have a great and glorious day gaming.